Having Lebers is, it's like seeing the world in a constant watercolour filter. You don't really notice things with lines of sharp detail. You kind of see everything as blurs of colours on a wall. If you know the measurements, it means that in both eyes I have about 1% vision compared to a normal person. My family grew up in the country on the Condamine River. We had Murray grey cattle. And because no matter what you did, no matter how many fences you fixed, they would find a way out and you would have to go and wrangle them all back. At the time I could actually see, and my brothers, my two older brothers, couldn't. One of them was an amazing runner. He would just run without any fear whatsoever. He couldn't see a darn thing in front of him. Eventually, a few years later, I ended up losing my sight as well, and I think I could understand why he just let it all go so that he could just run. Not something that was easy to do, and eventually I managed to figure out how to let go of the fear and do it as well, but he was an inspiring person. I was about 11 and a half when my vision started to fade. It was nighttime and I was trying to read a book. I didn't really like reading. My parents convinced me to start reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the very first book. So I did. One night, I couldn't really read it and I didn't know why. The words just, I could see that there was black on the page, but they weren't really there. I couldn't discern any symbols on them. Over about the span of 6 months, my vision went from perfect to less than 1%. Through that time, I got to experience a variety of things, and at the time I was in grade 7, so we do that typical thing that everyone does when they're in grade 7, and we all go to Canberra and we learn about politics, and that's where I found my last scene. The last thing that I can truly remember that stuck out to me was a field of tulips, red, orange and yellow. At the time I was having difficulty seeing the colour red, but I could still remember it from this. I hadn't completely lost all of my colour vision at that time. I suppose that's what Last Scene's about. It's trying to give other people a glimpse into something that you've seen, into something that you've experienced. And the artists, they had that job. They had to try and take some words, something that we may not have even had imagery for, something that they may not have even had reference data for, and they had to try and create something that would not only speak to the person who the story came from, but everyone else as well, to see if they could convey the story. Naomi White, who was the artist that did my painting, did manage to do that. And when I first saw the painting, I just thought, wow. Because I'm sure that they had quite a lot of emotion coming up with what it is that we thought we saw or what it is that we remembered, because they're not necessarily the same thing.